where shadows lie. Here they find a brighter sky. Every step, every mile, they're reaching for the American style. The grass is greener in America, where freedom sings, where hearts run wild. The grass is greener in America, a shining city, a dream compiled, the place the world keeps reaching for. Factories hum with a steady grace, ideas born in this boundless space. A light bulb flash, a towering steel in every corner. The promise feels real. From the ground to the stars, we're built on dreams, we're raising bars. The grass is greener in America, where freedom sings, where hearts run wild. The grass is greener in America, a shining city, a dream compiled, the place the world keeps reaching for. The grass is greener in America, where freedom sings, where hearts run wild. The grass is greener in America, a shining city, a dream compiled, the place the world keeps reaching for. The grass is greener in America, where freedom sings, where hearts run wild. The grass is greener in America, a shining city, a dream compiled, the place the world keeps reaching for.
Marvin Devine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Good evening, South Africa. Good afternoon, United States. Welcome to the world. It's Sunday, November 9th, 2025. A little over 42 years after I enlisted and entered active duty in the Army. Welcome back to the program on a Sunday. Apologies for the late timing for this program, but we're now 7 hours behind South Africa, 6 hours behind Europe, and 5 hours behind the United Kingdom. Welcome back to the program. So I was a little bit busy with other things this morning, taking care of Veterans Affairs last night, and then busy recording a video and editing it. And I didn't want to interfere with Ronaldo Host's program, so I'm doing this now. So thank you for your patience and waiting. This is the news, an abbreviated news session, so no time for a chat, time just to cover the news and give you analysis of the events unfolding around the world. There will be a refugee cafe clutch after this. You'll be automatically redirected to that. So if you have a question about refugees, I ask that you hold it. Also, I see that Professor G's put out a video saying big news for South Africans. Well, it's news. I don't know if it's big news, and I get his point. But we're going to talk about that during the refugee session, okay? So let's hang tight for that. That's not what we're here for now. This is for the news, for those who want to hear the news. And let's just get straight into that. All right, so news today, Sunday, November 9th, 2025, with analysis. President Trump on Friday denounced South Africa and really let loose. President Trump said that no U.S. officials will attend the G20 conference in South Africa, the latest escalation of the rift that has erupted between or over his claims the country is mistreating white Afrikaners. It's a total disgrace the G20 will be held in South Africa, Trump wrote in social media, claiming that Afrikaners are being killed and slaughtered and their land and farms are being illegally confiscated. Well, that was the big news on Friday, but with YouTube censorship and shadow banning, my video received only 25,000 views. You'd think it would have gotten probably 125,000. But anyway, so that is big news. We're going to talk about that during the refugee session a little bit later on, the Cafe Clutch, but much more to come in this news session. Deplorable. South African embassy in the Netherlands has been shut down for renovation. During a visit by officials in September, they found at least 30 broken windows. Birth registrations, children's passports, and renewal of adult passports will now be handled by VFS Global. So they're giving it to a contractor. Let me ask this question. Is VFS Global, is it a BEE certified firm? Is VFS Global a BEE certified firm? How can they do the job if they're not owned by black men? The South African embassy in The Hague in the Netherlands will move temporarily for renovation work on the historic building. The buildings, which are in deplorable condition. City Press's sister publication Rapport was inundated with inquiries over the past week over after the embassy in The Hague issued a notice that the current embassy building on Wassenaarweg near the well-known Tuin van Uithoorn was closing, and the embassy was moving to new premises. It's a temporary closure. Look at that crappy sign. They can't even have a proper sign made up. They printed it out and stuck in a piece of plastic. That right there is just a perfect statement about the governance of South Africa under the ANC. Look at that. That is pathetic. The embassy. This is, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a tuck shop that put a sign up. It's not, it's not a pantry. It's not a food closet. It's not a non-government organization, a charity. It is the official South African government, and this is what they put up in front of their embassy. Wow. Follows report in September the deplorable state of the building, which belongs to the South African government. The notice posted on the gate outside the embassy building online does not, however, disclose why the embassy is moving, nor to where. Here, let us put up this shitty sign in front of our embassy. Everybody, we closed on November 5th. There's no more embassy in the Netherlands. But where, Meneer, where did the embassy go? I don't know. Where is it? Is it open again? I don't know. This is a 30% outcome. Ladies and gentlemen, when you have a 30% education system, these are the outcomes you get. Stop laughing at our once proud state. I'm sorry. I'm not making this up. There it is right there. And it's a document protector. It's a document protector. I mean, that's like a 2-cent document protector with a 8.5 by 11 printout stuck on a piece of fence. But rest assured, negotiations are going well in Washington. Yes, we're on the verge of a deal. That's right. We're on the cusp. Meanwhile, in Vietnam, Ronnie Lamola, Parkstown, and John Steenhuisen. Let's do the Lamola. I thought white men couldn't dance. Apparently black men can't dance either. Seriously. They shut down the embassy. They didn't tell anybody where it was at. So they moved out. Do you know why? Do you know why they didn't tell anybody where it's at? I'll tell you why they didn't tell anybody where it's at. Because they're lazy shits. They moved the embassy. They shut it down for renovation. Shh. Don't tell anybody. Then we won't be bothered over the holiday season. We can have a nice Christmas. We won't even have to come into work. We'll just stay at home. Aidez-moi. Clayson Moniela, the Deputy Director of Public Diplomacy. Hang on a second. Let me make sure my alerts are on here. In case somebody, it does. In case somebody happens to give a super chat, I want to make sure it shows up on the screen. The Deputy Director General for Public Diplomacy in the Department of International Relations and Cooperation confirmed on inquiry that the embassy was temporarily moving to the De Rode Olifant office building on Zuid Hollanden in Hague. It's a 600-meter walk from the previous embassy building. So they moved 600 meters and they didn't tell anybody. Ladies and gentlemen, this message brought to you by Karen Borger from the Department of National Relations and Cooperation. Oh, wait. She's busy writing letters for Ferrayas. I'm sorry. Hey, Karen. You got a letter for the Ferrayas this week? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Zuid-Afrika Ferrayas Verbindung. How do you say Verbindung in Dutch, in Afrikaans? Yes. Anyway, 600 meters away. Oh, my goodness. Wow. The local newspaper, Den Haag Centraal, reported in February the city council was concerned about the dire condition of several embassies in the country, including Croatia, Saudi Arabia, Thailand, the DRC, Greece, India, Oman, Egypt, and Nigeria. Well, I get why Nigeria and the Congo and, Thailand are looking so bad, but why those other countries? It's just sad. Well, here's the fence around the property, folks. You want to see what the fence looks like around the property? There you go. It's all rusty. Department of International Relations and Cooperation has repeatedly cited budgetary constraints as the reason behind the decline in its property portfolio, but the problem actually lies in financial misappropriation. Well, perhaps. That's what the Auditor General says. They say they don't get enough money, but they're misusing it. I think that's probably the case of misusing it. The leader of the Democratic Alliance, John Steenhuisen, has called for his party to replace Deon George, one of the few effective ministers in government. What is this about? Is this an internal political machination going on inside the Democratic Alliance yet again? If we're going to relieve ministers for not getting the job done, we should start with the agricultural minister, who hid the foot and mouth disease, then refused to take questions from reporters, and then also muffed the whole thing up while he's dancing in Vietnam. DA leader John Steenhuisen asked President Ramaphosa to replace Minister of Environment and Forestry Fisheries Deon George with Willie Okamp. And they say it's for non-performance. Well, the non-performance is John Steenhuisen, not Deon George. Interesting. Wow. Steenhuisen had no comment for that story. Well, the ANC rejects Senzo Mkunu's resignation amid dark clouds of corruption allegations. The African National Congress says suspended police minister Senzo Mkunu will continue with his organizational duties in the party despite facing a corruption probe and having expressed his willingness to step aside. Ladies and gentlemen, how in the world can you have a person in charge of law enforcement who has a loyalty to a political party like this? Why can't he step aside and just be the minister? Why not? In a statement, African National Congress spokesman Malengo Bangu confirmed that Mkunu had indicated his willingness to step aside from organizational work in the party. Yep. But they refused. As a movement rooted in renewal and ethical leadership, the ANC reiterates that once a member is criminally charged, they voluntarily step aside from the responsibility until the conclusion of such matters. The policy position unique to the ANC reflects the organization's enduring commitment to integrity, transparency, and accountability. Stupid people should wear sides, man. As a movement rooted in renewal and ethical leadership. What are you renewing? Are you just taking the cash from money laundering it from place to place? What is the ANC renewing it? Where are the receipts for the 112th birthday celebration in Elspeth at Umbobela Stadium? Where are the receipts for the 78 million rand that you came up with to pay off the party planner? Where are the receipts for your funding for the election? The money from Chancellor House and the Batu Trust doesn't cover what you spent in the election. Where is your ethical leadership? $580,000 stuffed in the furniture of a Pala Pala game ranch. Perversion of the means of justice, using the VIP presidential unit to collude with Namibian forces to illegally kidnap people from Namibia to torture them. That's what they say. I don't know if they were, but we haven't had proper investigations, so how will we ever know what the truth is? Well, where is that ethical leadership with Paul Mashatile living in a $30 million mansion in Cape Town and a $26 million mansion in Sandton? Where is that ethical leadership for the Vreda Dairy Farm scandal, for the arms deal, for Oilgate, for Travelgate, for PPE scandals? Ethical leadership. You are such a crock. Ethical leadership. You wouldn't know what ethical leadership is if somebody smacked you upside the head with a 2x4 that says ethical leadership. Boom, boom, boom. PK. You wouldn't know what that is. Oh, what did I get hit with? Ethical leadership. What's ethical leadership? No. Unbelievable. Blade in the Monday. who's no longer the leader of the Communist Party of South Africa, says, maybe we shouldn't stand in the elections because the ANC is only going to get 25%. My estimation, not his. Nsimane wants to revisit the SACP's decision to contest the 2026 municipal elections. This fossil, the 8,000-year-old commie, South African Communist Party leader Saleh Mapila insisted the party would contest, but party chair Blade Nsimane suggested reassessing this move via special conference. So Blade's been bought off. Has he? Has he been bought off? Has he? I don't know. You tell me. Speaking at SACP's Red October rally on November 2nd in Klerksdorp, he referred to the SACP stance that it would contest next year's polls under its own banner. Now, going forward, we are going to participate in upcoming local government elections. No one among these leaders can reverse this decision. It's a decision taken by the structure of the Communist Party. This decision is being implemented and will be implemented in full. And I wish the Communist Party of South Africa all the luck in the world with its 50,000 members. Well, AfriForum finally says what I've been saying forever. We never said white genocide. Nope, I've been beating this drum forever. And with YouTube's shadow banning and censorship of my program and hiding my content from my viewers, fewer people learn about this than they should. We never said there's a white genocide in South Africa, AfriForum says, after it's being scapegoated. AfriForum's chief executive, Khalid Creel, has denied that his organization is responsible for the deterioration of relations between the United States and South Africa, saying that the civil rights group is being used as a scapegoat amid increasingly public exchanges. IL reported on Saturday about President Trump announcing the boycott of the G20 summit. Speaking to Newsroom Africa on Saturday, Creel insisted AfriForum had never described the situation in South Africa as a genocide targeting Afrikaners. That's another lie spread by the ANC. The fact is, those media institutions that accused us of spreading the white genocide narrative, we took them to the press ombudsman. We already have 5 of those institutions had to apologize to us. We never used that terminology. Our stance is quite clear. The kill the Boer, kill the farmer chant, calling for the killing of Afrikaners on an ethnic basis is a genocidal call, but we never said there's a genocide. All we are asking from the government and the president is condemn this call, acknowledge the fact that we are seeing tortures that accompany these murders, and declare it a priority crime. Exactly. Creel said when his organization visited the U.S. to seek AfriForum, understood the consequences and concerns which have been raised repeatedly in Washington about the situation. We knew exactly what the consequences would be if those issues were not addressed. That's why we went to the U.S. after that post by Trump and made a plea to the U.S. administration not to punish the country for the irresponsible behavior of the ANC. The fact is the people are falling for this. They don't want to take responsibility for the consequences of their own negative behavior. They now need a scapegoat. And if you go and have a look, long before we went to the U.S., the House of Representatives, a bill was asking for the review of this relationship with South Africa. The stuff mentioned there was a former minister, Naledi Pandor, visiting Iran, and a number of other issues. We did not go to Iran. We did not sign the Expropriation Act. We were not the ones refusing to condemn the kill the Boer. He said the nihilism by the ANC has failed, and everyone is now reaping the bitter fruits. All things I've said from the very outset, all talking points I've made from the very beginning. I've said this is not about Trump, this is not about Elon Musk, and this is the lie in the South African media, and gullible idiots believe it. They believe what they read in the toilet paper record, the IOL, in Cockprot 24, News 24, and in the Daily Shitbird, the Daily Maverick. They believe all the shit they read there. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. It's all propaganda lies. Every single statement is a lie. Jan Gerber has a statement out now, and it's full of bullshit. And I will make a video about that when I get around to it. Jan Gerber has put out a bullshit statement. It's just propaganda. It's disguised as news under politics sections of Cockprot 24, in which he puts all kinds of vindictive commentary that's not news. It's his opinion. It's his opinion, and that's bullshit. That's not news. Misleading the gullible 30% crowd in South Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, this rift between South Africa and the United States dates to the Article 98 waiver, which the communist government of South Africa refused to sign to protect U.S. service members. It dates back to then, which restricted our ability to provide military assistance to the South African National Defense Force. And of course, it rapidly fell apart after that for a number of reasons, not the least of which is no support from the U.S. But the bottom line here is that before Trump even became president, during the Biden regime, Congress, a bipartisan bill in the House of Representatives by a Democrat and a Republican, proposed in reviewing the relationship with an idea to sanction ANC leaders and government leaders. This has nothing to do with AfriForum. That predates AfriForum's trip. That has nothing to do with it. This is all just scapegoating, and Khalid Creel is 100% correct. He's right. Where's the treason case? There is no treason case. It was all bullshit in the media. Lies. There's no treason case. This is MK's racism and bigotry directed against, and the EFF's racism and bigotry directed against a civil rights organization that calls for equal treatment for all South Africans. But they don't want equal treatment for all South Africans. They want supremacy for black elites, not black people. They don't give a shit about black people. They don't. If they gave a shit about black people, you wouldn't have Sassagrans. You wouldn't have 35 million people living on assistance. You'd have a vibrant economy. You wouldn't have rules that limit 4% of managerial positions to white males. 4%. What the hell is that? That's utter nonsense. They don't care about black people. They care about black elites. Well, convicted murderer and rapist Thabo Mbester demands to be treated better than a convicted criminal. He wants better prison conditions. He wants to be treated as a person awaiting trial rather than a convicted inmate, arguing that the current conditions he must endure at the Kosi Mampuru Correctional Center are unconstitutional, contrary to his right to a fair trial. He's expected to appear in the Bloemfontein High Court on the 5th of December alongside his alleged girlfriend and other co-conspirators, including his girlfriend's father and 11 G4S employees following his audacious escape from the Mangnung Correctional Facility in 2023. The current status and classification of my incarceration as a sentenced prisoner is unconstitutional. The Department of Correctional Services should be directed to immediately cease my solitary confinement or segregation and reintegrate me into conditions consistent with humane and constitutional standards, together with other remanded accused persons who are awaiting trial. Which begs the question: are people accused of crimes but not convicted given, caviar and foie gras? Do you get better conditions in prison in South Africa if you're just accused and not convicted? If that's true, then he should get the same conditions. But I never heard of people getting that. Well, the French did not get the scalp they were looking for, despite poor performance by South Africa, especially Sasha Feinberg, Ngumzulu, and several other Springboks. They managed to hold on until they turned it on late in the game. And then Sasha put it in fine form late, and he became the man of the match, which should have been Jasper Wiese perhaps, or maybe Kobus Reinach, but certainly not Sasha. And this comes from a big Sasha fan, but an honest person, me. Vengeful French rope-a-doped as Gritty Box celebrates Sia's 100th in style, but Sia had to sit on the bench for half the game, courtesy of this red card issued to Lut de Jager. In the battle between competing emotions, France's desperation to exact revenge 2 years in the plotting got thumped by a 14-man Springbok side driven by the sentimental desire to make their captain's 100th test a memorable one for the night. But unfortunately, Sia sat on the bench for most of the second half. Well, for the entire second half. Going into possibly the most significant century of tests in Springbok history, Khaleesi had only a 50% chance of success. Former Buck captain John Smith being left holding onto Manu Noah's boot at the FNB Stadium 2010 will forever represent the pathos of the four Centurions who never got over the line. While fullback Willie Leroux against Italy this year was the most recent of the quartet, lucky enough to win on their big day. Thanks to bookending his first and 100th test with an early subbing on and premature subbing off, South Africa's most clutch captain with 2 World Cup victories, 3 Rugby Championship titles, and a British and Irish Lions series win ran the risk of being just another Buck Centurion also ran. The score at halftime was 14-13. Things were ugly. Khaleesi went to the bench. He was replaced by Arun Nortkia. That was the sacrifice they had to make. But South Africa wins the game in the end. And the red card. Red card or not, we've learned to accept these things, says Rossi. Springbok coach Rossi Rasmus knows that when playing in France, there's always a chance of a player being carded. Lut de Jager sent it off in the 39th minute during the 32-17 win over France was the 4th instance of Buck player being carded against France in the last 3 matches. Springbok captain Sia Khaleesi and Rasmus agreed on the substitution of Khaleesi, which allowed Rowan Nakia to come on and make a huge difference. He was sent off in the 39th minute for a shoulder to the face of Thomas Ramos, who had fallen to his knees before the contact, but the Bucks played well enough not to concede a try with 14 men. Yep. There you go. So, congratulations to the Springboks and to Sia Khaleesi on his 100th. But Wales just can't get it done. Poor Wales. They are just woeful. I did pick Argentina to win, but not by that much. Wales' woes continue after a heavy loss to Argentina. Argentina overpowered Wales 52-28 in Cardiff on Saturday as home coach Steve Tandy's first game in charge ended in a record loss. Victory gave Argentina the highest score and largest winning margin against Wales. The Pumas 6th in the world rankings. Wales is now 12th. Ran in 7 tries, all converted by Santiago Carreras, who also got a penalty for 17 points for the match. Welsh rugby is looking pretty sad. Fleshin, are you here? It's looking pretty sad. Former Zimbabwean member of parliament was arrested in Pretoria after explosives were found in his car. Wow. Former Zimbabwe opposition MP Job Sikala, a prominent critic of ZANU-PF, has been arrested in South Africa. National Police spokesman Brigadier Afunda Mate confirmed that 2 men aged 78 and 53 were arrested for allegedly being in illegal possession of explosives. Police received a tip-off that there were people traveling in a Ford Fiesta in Pretoria. When police spotted the said vehicle, they stopped it and found 26 blasting cartridges and 15 cap fuse connectors. Maybe they're doing mining. I've been informed that Job Sikali had been arrested in South Africa My secret lady told me that Job was at a meeting last night. One of his hosts asked to check something in his car. He took the keys and then went away. He returned to him and asked why they all leave the meeting, for it was getting late. So they found blasting caps in the car. Look at that. Look at that. So is this a coup attempt? Is it a coup attempt? Or are former Zimbabwe members of parliament simply zama-zamas? There's the defense. I could be their defense attorney. We weren't planning a coup. We were not going to overthrow the crocodile. No. We were zama-zamas. We were headed to the Mahalisburg to illegally mine for gold. So it's a fine. 100 Rand. Can we go now? Wow. So Sikala was arrested in Harare and jailed for 2 years and remanded to the Chikurubi maximum security prison because he organized a funeral for a slain opposition party member. He was later acquitted of all charges after spending 2 years in prison. So he's probably upset, understandably so. Probably very upset about his treatment by the criminal regime of Emerson Mnangagwa. Well, Cyril Ramaphosa has assumed the leadership of the most useless organization in Southern Africa, the Southern African Development Community. Yes, congratulating the misogynist in chief and the magically 98% vote getter in Tanzania, Samia Suluhu, on her victory. One tyrant to another. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa assumed the interim chairmanship of the Southern African Development Community after Madagascar stepped down from the position amid political turmoil. My question is this. How can Cyril Ramaphosa be the chairman of the Southern African Development Community, be the president of the G20 when he can't even be president in South Africa? He can't even run South Africa. Why should he be given the authority over SADC and responsibility for coordinating for the entire G20? The guy can't even run the country. Can't even run the country. Sudan's rapid support forces agreed to U.S. negotiated ceasefire, but the government of Sudan is silent. Sudan's paramilitary rapid support force agreed to a proposal from U.S. and Arab powers for humanitarian ceasefire and is open to talks on hostilities being ended. The RSF and the Sudanese army have agreed to ceasefire proposals during the 2.5-year war, though none have succeeded. But the announcement, which the Sudanese army did not immediately respond to, comes less than 2 weeks after the RSF took over al-Fashir. So, the RSF wants to talk. They're willing to cease. They're willing to stop fighting. But the government still wants to fight. Still wants to fight. Nigeria, unsurprisingly, dismisses President Trump's claims of Christian persecution. This says prosecution. There's no prosecution. It's persecution. My goodness. Deutsche Welle doesn't even, you learn how English Deutsche Welle. This story comes from Deutsche Welle. It's on Cockbright. Yeah, it's persecution, not prosecution, morons. The Nigerian government on Wednesday rejected the United States' designation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern due to alleged violations of religious freedom, claiming that the designation was based on misinformation and inaccurate information. It's not based on, there are over 100,000 Christians who've been slaughtered in the past 2 decades in Nigeria by Muslims. Not by pirates, not by sports teams, not by their neighbors, but by the neighbors who are Muslims. Yeah, it's not a mischaracterization. 92-year-old nonagenarian Paul Biya is sworn in for his 8th term as Cameroon's president. Wow. He's been president for 43 years, was sworn in on Thursday for an 8th term. The 92-year-old, the world's oldest head of state, won the October 12th election with 53.7% of the vote against 35% for his main challenger. Former government minister Issa Chiroma Bakary, sworn in Yaoundé. Well, Senegal says that the debt restructuring offer from the International Monetary Fund is a disgrace. How is it a disgrace, ladies and gentlemen? Senegal says it's a disgrace. The International Monetary Fund wants to restructure Senegal's debt because they can't pay it back. But the West African countries are resisting such moves, saying it would be a disgrace. Senegalese Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko told a rally in the capital of Dakar. So why? What the IMF is proposing is a restructuring of this abysmal debt that Macky Sall's party burdened us with. What we told our partners is that we don't want a restructuring because it would be a disgrace for Senegal. Well, I don't give a shit what you want, buddy. You deadbeat. Typical scumbag behavior by African elites. You think I want the $38 trillion of debt piled up by Clinton and Bush and Trump and Obama and Biden and Reagan and Carter? You think I want that? $38 trillion of debt? No, I don't. But guess what? It's our debt. We have to pay it back. So stop being a deadbeat, scumbag, handout. The disgrace is the fact that you are abrogating a debt that your duly elected president and your duly elected parliament accrued. That's your problem, Senegal. Your problem. This is the problem with Africa. And of course, they'll play the racism string. Oh, I am racist, or I'll make black people pay money back. Stop borrowing money. Fix your broke-ass country. Unbelievable. The IMF estimates the end of last year's total public sector debt, including state-owned enterprises, was 132% of gross domestic product for Senegal. Pay it back, deadbeats. Pay it back. Well, Beijing has suspended its latest rare earth export curbs and restores soybean license. The media running around and some idiot commenting in my video about how, soybeans. Guess what? China has broken. The regime suspended export curbs on some rare earths and lithium-ion batteries for a year and restored soybean import licenses and lifted a ban on U.S. logs. Funny how that happened. Why? Because they're going hungry and they need timber. Beijing on Friday suspended its latest export curbs on rare earth materials after reaching a year-long trade truce with the United States. The regime is also restoring soybean imports license for 3 U.S. companies, lifting an import ban on U.S. logs, and removing tariffs on certain U.S. optical fiber. There you go. Funny that. Oh, but tariffs don't work. But Trump is losing. Oh, shut up. Well, the Republicans have pitched an alternative to the Unaffordable Care Act renewal for its subsidies. GOP senators proposed sending money directly to the consumers' health accounts rather than to insurance companies. Well, there you go. There you go. Senate Republicans have made what amounts to a counteroffer in the bid to end the government shutdown, proposing that some health care funding be provided directly to households rather than be used to pay for a 1-year extension of the Enhanced Affordable Care Act subsidies. The leading GOP proposal involves sending federal money into flexible spending accounts instead of insurance companies. The money could be used to cover deductibles and other out-of-pocket costs, which Republicans see as a way to give consumers more choice and control over healthcare inflation. Well, not really, because they're still getting it from other insurance companies. But it's an interesting proposal, but I say no subsidies. The United States Department of Agriculture tells states to recover a portion of the full food stamp benefits they've paid out for November. A memo sent out by the USDA said that states can only send 65% of Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program benefits. In a memo, the agency told states to release only 65%. States that already sent 35% are mandated to claw it back. To the extent states sent full SNAP payments for November, this was unauthorized. Accordingly, states must immediately undo any steps taken to issue full SNAP benefits for November, warning that it could take action against states if the money had not returned or if 100% is sent to beneficiaries. And of course, the New York Times cries about it. Trump administration officials demand states undo the work to send full food stamps. Trump administration told states on Saturday to immediately undo any actions to provide full food stamp benefits. Yep, that's right. Because it's not authorized. It's not legal. You committed crimes. This is a country of law, the rule of law. Well, Donald Trump has another suggestion, one I'm not fond of. This is more socialism. Trump is trying to tell us that he wants to give us $2,000 to overcome the tariffs. President appraises benefits of the levies after Supreme Court appears skeptical of his justification for many of them. President Trump suggested tariff revenue could be used to fund payments of at least $2,000 to most Americans. Days after the Supreme Court appeared skeptical of the legal backing of many of his tariffs, the president on social media Sunday a lot of the revenue they brought in and said the government would soon begin paying down the country's debt. He also said a payment of at least $2,000 would be made to everyone but high-income earners. People that are against tariffs are fools. We are now the richest, most respected country in the world with almost no inflation and a record stock market. All of that's true. A dividend of at least $2,000 a person, not including high-income people, will be paid to everyone. Well, that's interesting. $2,000, okay. Yeah, that's a handout, and we don't need that. Shouldn't get it. So the New York Times is all upset about something, and they have a point, and I will be consistent in my commentary here. When the South African government, South African Central Bank, issued currency with the likeness of Nelson Mandela on the currency during his lifetime, I said that's nonsense. That's disgraceful. That's hero worship. That's not appropriate. Currency should only have the images of those who passed, not those who are alive. I said that now, and I'm saying this again. New York Times says a two-headed coin that always comes up Trump. Would a proposed coin featuring the president on both sides commemorate America's founding or undercut its founding principles? Well, it doesn't undercut our founding principles, but it's just gauche. It's inappropriate. It's gauche. Nearly a century ago, the United States paused its 1920s roar to celebrate the 150th anniversary of the country's birth. There were speeches, a Philadelphia flop, of the World's Fair, more speeches, a commemorative coin, mostly remembered now as a numismatic misfire. The 1926 coin featured a long-dead first president, George Washington, beside the very much alive current president Calvin Coolidge, whose appearance broke with American convention not to depict a sitting president on money. The custom was inspired by Washington himself, who was so anti-monarchical that he would have coined the phrase "no kings." The Washington Coolidge $50 is the only American coin to feature a sitting president, but not for long. The Treasury Department's recently announced plans to celebrate the country's 250th anniversary in 2026 with a $1 coin depicting President Trump. In a draft rendering, he appears twice and alone. On the reverse, a profile partly eclipsing the word liberty, and in reverse, his fists raised below the words fight, fight, fight. Yeah, I have problems with this. That's Spencer Clark, currency superintendent. Put his own face on a 5-cent note. This is the coin celebrating the 150th anniversary of the incorporation of Lynchburg, Virginia. Depicts Carter Glass, a former senator and Treasury Secretary. There's the Kennedy $50, but that was after his assassination. And that would be the backside of the $1 coin. So I find it gauche that we put the faces of living people on currency. To me, it should only be people who passed. But that's my personal opinion, just my opinion. Open-minded can also mean being open to having your view changed by someone who can make a cogent argument as to why you're wrong. Yes, that is open-minded. Just be careful that you're not so open-minded that your brains... Thank you for joining for the news today, folks. A rather brief news. So 405 people here. Let's hit the like button. There's a lot of people who haven't hit that like button. Help me overcome that shadow banning on YouTube.
That was easy. That was easy.
Okay, first time it didn't sound so good. Come on, hit that like button. Yeah, there you go. There's a super chat from Mad Max. He's trying to alert us to a story here. What is this story? Minister Lamola challenged U.S. Secretary Marco Rubio's claims of Africana persecution ahead of G20 summit. When was this published? 5 hours ago. I missed this one. South Africa's International Relations Cooperation Minister Ronald Lamola has publicly challenged claims by Secretary of State Marco Rubio that Afrikaners being racially persecuted, describing the allegations as politically motivated and unsupported by formal data. Formal data manipulated by the South African government. The exchange on social media comes in the wake of U.S. President Trump's announcement that no American officials would attend the summit. Yep. So, Secretary Rubio put a tweet up. Okay. He says, Afrikaners have been continuously subjected to violent racial discrimination by the South African government. I applaud POTUS' decision to not waste taxpayer dollars sending our diplomats to G20 while his heinous violence continues. Okay, that's very strong language from Secretary Rubio. I won't dispute that. And then, of course, Minister Lamola goes right to the red herring that is never said by the people, just the left and the ANC. Claims of white genocide or its euphemism, Afrikaner persecution. Oh, now, Afrikaner persecution is a euphemism for white genocide. No, it's not. No, it's not. White genocide is your red herring. God, my finger's numb. What's going on here? Are imagined and used for political expediency. Data does not support the narrative. From April 2020 to March 2024, 25 people were victims of crimes on farms in South Africa, according to police. Well, the police lie. The police lie. We know the police lie. I've shown you. I've shown you their lies. I've shown you the police lies. Well, this will be another video I have to do. This will be a video I have to do. So, yep, we know that they lie. We know that they lie. So I'll have to make a video on this later tonight. Yeah, responding to this. I'll probably just wrap this up along with Durko's response to Minister Lamola. Well, there you go. So Secretary of State Rubio has put something out. So his little cousin there, Ronnie Lamola, the failed justice minister who brought no justice to South Africa, now wants to claim that he's in the same league as Marco Rubio. Of course, Trump called Marco Little Marco, so, whatever. Oh, my goodness. Lamola hit back on the same platform, writing claims of white genocide. Anyway, I read that, right? South Africa's former injustice minister we continue to fight crime in all its manifestations. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. We will host a very successful G20. Thank you for your kind attention in this matter. He's stealing a line. That's Trump's line. Thank you for this kind attention in this matter. That's a smart-ass comment. Ronald Lamola has never signed any of his tweets like that before that I recall. Wow. He pointed the response to the farm-killing claims being circulated by American political figures. It also highlights the deepening diplomatic grip between Washington and Pretoria, which in recent years have clashed over issues ranging from South Africa to China, Russia, and Gaza, to its criticism of Western foreign policy. Also, its ingratitude over billions of dollars of assistance, $8.1 billion of gifts to South Africa, millions of South Africans alive because of the U.S.'s generosity and the arrogance of the ANC lying about that. Remember how they said that, it's only 15% of the funding for HIV, so it won't really have an impact, when basically every surveillance and monitoring program in South Africa shut down because the money was all coming from America. Yep, for HIV. Former South African ambassador to Portugal, Dr. Kingsley Makubela, told Newsroom Africa that U.S. officials, if they attend G20 summit, will raise objections that could affect the overall outcome of the event. He's right. Yep. I think he meant to say that no one will come from Washington to attend this meeting. I've always held a view that the U.S. President J.D. Vance won't be coming because if you look at the objections to the meeting, it's embedded in what's going on to discuss G20. That has to do with solidarity, diversity, and interdependence of the world, which they're very much opposed to. No, Mr. Makubela, you were pretty good till you spread that lie. The U.S. has nothing opposed to solidarity of the world, nothing opposed to diversity, but real diversity, not skin color diversity, which is bullshit. Yep. Yep. What they're likely to do, and I think they will do, is send an official from the embassy to attend because decisions that are taken there are taken by consensus. So the official at the meeting will keep on saying, I have instructions from Washington not to accept this paragraph. I have instructions from Washington not that paragraph. We'll see. But he said no officials are coming. So maybe someone, and I said that all along, somebody from the embassy will be there. Maybe there will be. Maybe there won't be. I don't know. Anyway, to the 424 people currently here, please hit the like button if you don't mind. And you'll be automatically redirected to the refugee chat after this.
That was easy.
Refugee Cafe Clutch is coming up in just moments, folks, right after this. We got about 2 minutes to that. I'll take and get that one started up. So there'll be a brief interregnum as we break here. By the way, 8 out of 9 on my Super Brew this weekend, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 match points and 2 perfectly called point differentials. Did really well, but did not get to the top of the log with that. Still moved up 17 places, but did not get to the top of the log. So good weekend for me on Super Brew, but still not perfect. Still not perfect. All right. Well, thank you for your patience here, for watching this program. Be sure to hit the like button, and I will see you guys on the other side here in just a few minutes, okay? Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it, and we'll catch you in just a few minutes on the Cafe Clutch. Thank you for your patience and your likes. Hit them. Hit that like button. Hit it. Hit it hard. Hit it. Come on, hit it.
That was easy.
Yeah, see how easy that is? All right. Thanks, guys. Cheers. See you shortly.